Sometimes it's a tiny pause that gives it away. You're standing in the kitchen, phone in your hand, thumb hovering over send. The message is already written. It's polite. It's clear. Nothing about it feels risky. And still, you read it one more time. The question isn't really what does this say? It's quieter than that. It's what if this comes across wrong? A lot of people carry this feeling, even if they don't talk about it much. That small fear that one wrong word could shift how you're seen. That one sentence could land heavier than you meant. What you may be dealing with isn't a lack of social skill or intelligence. It's a pattern where mistakes feel bigger than they are. Where your mind treats normal human slip-ups like something to avoid at all costs. Let's slow this down and look at why that fear shows up, and what it's quietly trying to protect. At its simplest, this pattern is about trust. Not trust in other people, but trust in your first response. It's when your initial thought doesn't feel safe enough to act on, so you keep checking it. Rephrasing. Replaying. Imagining outcomes. Not because you're careless, but because you want to get it right. One common reason this develops is growing up around constant correction. It doesn't always look harsh. Sometimes it's subtle. Someone fixing your wording. Adjusting your tone. Stepping in to help before you're finished. Over time, your brain learns a quiet rule: my first version probably isn't the best one. So later in life, even when no one is watching, you hesitate. You double-check a comment before speaking. You soften a sentence that didn't need softening. And the habit stays, not because you're unsure of yourself, but because you learned that precision equals safety. Sometimes, it comes from carrying one past mistake longer than you realize. Maybe there was a moment where you said something awkward, or something honest that didn't land well. The reaction stuck with you more than the moment itself. Your mind stores it as a warning. Not that happened once, but let's not let that happen again. So now, before you speak, there's a pause. A scan. A quick review of possible outcomes. You prepare extra for conversations that are already normal. You rehearse comments that don't require rehearsal. And even when nothing goes wrong, your body stays slightly braced, just in case. Over time, another layer shows up when you're surrounded by too many outside standards. Social media. Workplace expectations. Group dynamics. You're constantly exposed to how other people sound: confident, fast, perfectly worded. When you compare your inside process to someone else's outside presentation, your timing starts to feel off. You wonder if you're being too much, or not enough. Too direct. Too careful. Too quiet. Too detailed. So instead of trusting your natural voice, you monitor it. You edit yourself in real time. And a simple sentence starts to feel like a performance with rules you're not sure you understand. Here's what this can look like in everyday life. It's late, around 11:30 at night. You're sitting on the couch, lights low, phone glowing a little too bright. Earlier today, you sent a message. Nothing dramatic. Just a normal update. No one responded oddly. No one pushed back. But you open the chat anyway. You reread the message line by line. Your chest tightens just a little, like you missed something important but can't name what. You think, maybe that sounded cold. Maybe I explained too much. Maybe one word could have been better. Nothing is actually wrong. But your mind keeps searching, just in case. If you've been there, you're not strange. You might know someone who lives like this. This is what fear of mistakes can look like when it's quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It just keeps asking for reassurance in places where reassurance doesn't really exist. What makes this tricky is that the fear isn't about the present moment. It's about imagined consequences. Your mind is trying to prevent discomfort before it happens. And in doing that, it treats every small interaction like it carries high stakes. There's a gentle way to work with this, not to eliminate it, but to soften its grip. One thing that can help is changing the question your mind asks. When fear shows up, it often asks, what if this is wrong? That question has no clear answer, so your mind keeps looping. You can try shifting it to something simpler and more grounded. What am I basing this on? Then answer with two plain facts. Nothing dramatic. Just real things. I read this twice. This is how I normally speak. I can clarify later if needed. This doesn't make doubt disappear. But it brings you back to reality instead of imagined outcomes. Sometimes that's enough to let the moment move forward. Another gentle approach is leaving yourself a small record of your reasoning. After you make a choice, sending a message, sharing a thought, write a few lines for yourself. What you chose. Why it felt reasonable at the time. What you knew then. No essays. No justifying. Just a snapshot. Later, when your mind tries to rewrite the story, you have something steady to return to. It reminds you that your decisions usually come from thoughtfulness, not carelessness. This works slowly. Not by forcing confidence, but by rebuilding trust in small, quiet pieces. There's one detail that often gets missed in all of this. Fear of saying the wrong thing isn't about weakness. It's about care. You're paying attention. You're aware of impact. You're trying to move through the world without causing harm. That instinct isn't something to erase. It just sometimes goes too far, turning awareness into self-surveillance. When that happens, it can help to remember this: most conversations are more forgiving than your mind predicts. Most people are focused on their own words, not replaying yours. So if you find yourself hesitating, second-guessing, or replaying small moments, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind learned to be careful. This is for people who seem fine on the outside, but keep checking inside. People who speak thoughtfully, then wonder if they spoke too thoughtfully. You don't have to get every word perfect. You're allowed to sound human. And if this reflection felt familiar, you're welcome to stay here for more quiet explanations like this, one feeling at a time.